Today is the Honorable Chris Wright, Secretary of Energy, John Ketchum, President, CEO, Chairman of NextEra, and Ruth Porat, who's President and CIO of Google and Alphabet. So without further ado, let's kick this off. Maybe I'll start with Secretary Wright. So AI obviously has a lot of enablement in the physical world, which many people don't appreciate. We're talking about chips, we're talking about the grid, we're talking about massive natural resources that have to be rewired to get them to where they need to be. What do you think people fail to appreciate about what it really takes to scale this?
Yeah, the scale to build things again in our country. One of my missions coming to Washington is to make it easier to build big things again in our country. Obviously, I mean, look at this building, look where we are. America got where we are by boldly risk-taking and building big things. But we've done precious little of that in the last 20 or 30 years. We've made it just way too hard to build things. You know, NEPA, for example, we've just made it, it's very easy to stop something today. It's hard to do something big. And we need to change that. If we're going to win at AI, we need to massively grow our electricity production. And sadly, that's something we haven't done in a few decades. In the last 20 years, we've tripled United States oil production. We've doubled United States natural gas production. And we've grown electricity production by a few percent. I was just home in my home state of Colorado yesterday, and they're expanding a natural gas power plant. I'm excited to see that. And I look at the data, and Colorado today produces 0.4% more electricity than it did 8 years ago. I'm like, there's a lot of money and a lot of talk. But in the electricity sector, the focus has not been about expanding capacity, increasing affordability, allowing us to reindustrialize our country. But if we're going to win at AI, we have to get serious about building electricity. And the focus is not going to be a political agenda. The focus needs to be deliver secure, reliable, affordable electricity. So we cannot outsource this next energy-intensive industry that's arriving, artificial intelligence. We want it here in this country. It'll be hugely beneficial for America and Americans. And we can do it and drive down our electricity prices. It is a massive win, but we need to get in a very different gear than we have been for electricity for 20, 30 years.
And John, you're doing that across renewables, gas, nuclear, grid, just having that front row seat. What's your take on the challenge and how we overcome it?
Well, first of all, I agree completely with the Secretary's comments. I mean, we have got to unleash energy in this country. We've got to do it quickly. We have to restore American energy dominance. We're fully behind the Secretary's agenda and the administration's agenda in that regard. And for us, it's incumbent upon companies in our sector to move quickly to get every electron on the grid as fast as possible and to build at scale. And we can't just take the approach of building 100, 200, 300 megawatt solutions. That's not going to get it done. So one of the things that we're doing at NextEra is we've completely shifted our strategy around what I call data center hubs, for example, where we can build 3 to 5 gigawatt facilities, and we're out sending our land team out, tying this up, and then bringing a combination of resources that it's going to take and capabilities and experience that few companies in this sector can do. You look at NextEra, we have the largest gas fleet in the United States. We're the largest consumer of natural gas in North America. We know how to build gas and get it done. We're one of the largest nuclear operators in the world. We can build transmission. We built the last long-haul gas pipeline in this country, Mountain Valley Pipeline. It's going to take a combination of all those resources to get it done, and then the public and the private sector working together on permitting reform. It takes far too long to get a gas pipeline built in this country. It takes far too long to get a transmission line built in this country. And it's not necessarily the federal permitting that is slowing us down, it's the courts. Because we have a lot of courts in this country that love to legislate from the bench. And we need to clean that up through permitting reform so we can get these projects online quickly and at scale. And that's something that we're working not only with this administration on, but with Congress on as well.
I can certainly relate to that, building big infrastructure as well with the court issue. Ruth, you're obviously a big customer for all this energy infrastructure, but at the same time, you've taken your own initiatives to build generation capabilities. Maybe share your perspective on what could be done differently to unlock this opportunity.
Well, I very much agree with both comments. The core issue is the U.S. is underinvested in energy capacity and the infrastructure that's needed. We're net investors in adding capacity when we build a data center. We think that's a core part of what we should be doing so that we are net contributors to the communities in which we build. We, in fact, just closed on an acquisition of Intersect Power yesterday. Very excited because what that's enabling us to do is build energy capacity as we're building data centers, and so again, continuing to add. I think the other really important point is what incrementally we and others do to protect affordability. And there's a very important piece of work Lawrence Berkeley National Labs released last year where they looked at data centers and their impact on energy affordability and found actually states without data centers have seen electricity prices increase faster than states with data centers on average, and the assessment is that's because data center workloads enable better amortization of the fixed costs. That's one important point, but our view is that we need to do more than that when we're entering any state, when we're building data centers. So we're committed to buying not only investing not only in 100% of the energy that we use, but very importantly, to their points, the infrastructure required to support that growth, whether or not we use that infrastructure. And I'm going to quote Secretary Wright because we're doing this around the country, but importantly, last year when we announced in Georgia that we're approaching it this way, invest in the energy that's needed, really immunize ratepayers. The CEO of Georgia Power said, as a result of the way Google comported itself, the choices around execution, they can hold ratepayers, the rate base flat for the next 3 years. And Secretary Wright, your comment on the back of that was really important. You said, done right, the addition of data centers can actually add resilience to the grid and protect affordability. And I think that done right part is what's really guiding us on everything around adding capacity and protecting affordability.
Mm-hmm.
So Secretary Wright, as someone who lives and breathes energy, I see how these data centers can help reduce costs for consumers. But if I'm not an energy expert and I'm one of those consumers, what can we do as an industry and as government to make sure that these benefits are more obvious to the ordinary person?
Yes, and I gotta congratulate Ruth for what they did in Georgia. A similar deal was done in Alabama, also a 3-year rate freeze. The state of Indiana a few weeks ago filed to the Public Utility Commission for a rate decrease, and that's in nominal dollars. When you keep nominal dollars flat, that's a slow decline in real prices for electricity. We can do this, and I honestly believe we will do this. The key to driving down electricity prices, not only can, the key to driving down electricity prices is to grow demand. Everyone thinks that that's backwards. These data centers are going to drive up prices. It's actually the opposite. If you look at the states that have both the most expensive electricity, they're also the states with the fastest growing electricity prices. And I'll shout out a few of them, California, New York, Massachusetts, Delaware. These are all states that produce less electricity today than they did 5 years ago, and in most cases than they did 10 years ago. If you look at the European nations, Germany, they have the record. They've tripled their electricity prices whilst spending $500 billion on their electricity sector. They tripled their electricity prices, and they produce more than 20% less electricity than they did when they started it. So if you're spending money in the electricity sector thinking you're decarbonizing the world, number one, you're very naive. You're not moving the needle in any measurable sense. But if you're spending it for an objective besides affordable, reliable, secure energy, guess what? You're going to get more expensive, less secure energy, and you're going to push users out of your state. Your demand is going to go down, and your prices are going to have to rise faster. The states that have done the best on electricity prices, all of them have fast demand growth. The faster your demand growth is, the more you can push your electricity prices down. And another reason for this is just more efficient use of assets. Our electricity grid today, as we sit here, it only operates at about 50% capacity. So right today, we got hundreds of gigawatts of spare power right now. Bring all the data centers you can build in the next 5 years, and we can power them this hour. What matters is, can we continue to power them at peak demand time? That's all that matters. The way you can increase the capacity of the grid is to increase the deliverability at peak demand time. But if you put a data center on, it uses electricity 24 hours a day. It has some variability in the load, but it's a much steadier load than the average load. So now the average utilization of all those assets goes up, the per unit cost goes down, and in addition, the hyperscalers like Google, they're very cooperative. They want to build giant assets. They'll put money up front to build infrastructure. They'll sign long-term contracts, which allows long-term new assets to be built. Data centers are the road to lower electricity prices in our country. They're the road to increase jobs, pushing up wages, increase tax revenues. Done right is correct. A few deals have been done poorly. They've just soaked up excess power and pushed up prices. It has happened. So there is some reality to the, oh, these guys came in and hurt my electricity grid. That has happened. I do not believe you will see that happen at any scale going forward. You will see the opposite. The states that attract that investment are going to win. And not only will the locals win, but it's so critical that the United States lead in artificial intelligence. I think it is hard to overstate the enormous positive benefits that will come to our society, our economy, our national defense, the progress of science, the rate at which we're going to make cancers treatable conditions and not death sentences. So much upside is waiting for us if we can get moving as fast as possible on artificial intelligence.
So John, maybe to follow up on that, NextEra is a leader in making sure that cost is low, runs very, very efficiently. Can you talk about what you think is the right mix of resources between gas, nuclear, renewables, and then overlay speed to power, overlay balancing out environmental considerations as the nation deploys its resources?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start with just Florida Power and Light. I mean, we have a bill that's 40% lower than the national average. Our bill increases at about 2%, right? And so we have a fleet that is predominantly, we have the largest natural gas fleet in the United States, in Florida. We have 2 large nuclear units. We have solar and we have storage. We've been able to combine all of those resources together to lower the bill. And so I think it's a great example of how you can get every electron on the grid possible, but do it in a responsible way. And as the Secretary said, one of the key benefits of this is scale, right? And so we're the largest power company in the world at NextEra. We're in 49 states. We're going to invest $500 billion between now and 2035. We're really going to help drive American energy dominance across this country. But scale matters. And just to give you a couple of numbers, our O&M on a dollar per megawatt hour basis is 70, not 17, 70% lower than the industry average. We are 50% better than second best. And that's because of the way we run our fleet so effectively, utilizing the scale benefits, the buying power, the efficiency at which we operate. But then we're taking it to the next level. We have a terrific partnership with Ruth and her team over at Google. One of the things I'm most excited about is we have this project called Rewire. We are completely reinventing the way we deliver and transmit electricity, and we brought Google in. We're designing AI tools over the top of that we are going to market globally together to utilities and cooperatives and municipalities that will absolutely transform this industry and help to further lower cost. And so and one of the things these tools do is back to also the Secretary's point about having a lot of unutilized generation on the system, is we have a grid dispatch tool, for example. We have a number of AI tools that we're taking to market, but one of the tools is we will actually look at our generation, our transmission, our distribution system, and figure out how to maximize and optimize the use of the lowest cost generation at any one point in time. We think this tool could save customers in Florida $200 million a year once perfected, and we're going to be taking that to market jointly together with Google here soon, which is something I'm very excited about.
Very impressive. It sounds like Secretary.
I just want to brag on that Florida Power and Light and my friend John right here. Florida has been just outstanding. If you look back 15 years ago, electricity prices in California were a little higher than Florida, 10 or 15%. They just went entirely different directions. Today, electricity in Florida is less than half of the cost of electricity in California, and they produce they produce 20% more electricity in the state of Florida than they do in California. Lower costs, higher reliability in a state that's in the center of Hurricane Alley. Like, high electricity prices are a political choice. They're not required, they're not imposed on you, they're a political choice, but smart decisions, great operations, smart technology deployment. Florida is an outstanding case example that even when the world went off track a bit the last 20 years, Florida did not. And congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So John, to follow up on that, how much more do you think we can squeeze from the existing grid? Because at peak, it can be pretty fully utilized, but I believe the average utilization is probably closer to 60% nationally.
Yeah, it really depends on what part of the country you're in. Okay, I'll use PJM as an example. PJM is not a good situation, right? And you've seen the administration step in on this, thank goodness, right? And working with 13 other governors in PJM on how to change that capacity market to incent and attract new generation. Because that capacity market's broken, it's not
started an electrician training program a year ago. And we said at the time, no one company can do this alone. We need to continue to work across the private sector with the public sector. I think what BlackRock announced today is really profound. The sheer scale of it is exciting. And I think the concept is so important that each of us needs to layer these programs on so that the private sector, working with the public sector, can address the scale of this opportunity. Jobs across America, electricians, welders, HVAC, bio said it well this morning. These are here today, and I'll say whenever I go to a state and we talk about a data center opening, I was in Iowa, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and beyond, we will do a groundbreaking with the electrical worker in that community, because what it does is immediately bring to life the fact that the training programs are there, they're already on the ground, they create, as you said, very high-paying, attractive jobs. Come join us. And so I think the notion that anybody out there who wants to be part of an electrical training program, we need to continue across the country to expand this and to take it to other areas. But the solutions are here, and there is a shortage of people. These are high-paying, exciting jobs. So I think success is delivering this, and the United States continuing to lead, as we are in models and chips. We need the energy infrastructure, and we need the deployment, and then we will win.
Great. I'm told we're running out of time, but really appreciate our panelists. Please join me in thanking them